Consciousness did not return in a rush, but in a slow, heavy tide. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Damp earth, cheap synthetic satin, something sweet and woody. Then came the awareness of my body. I was lying on my back, my hands folded over my chest. It was tight. Not tight like a crowded subway car, but completely, absolutely tight. My shoulders pressed against the walls, and my nose almost touched something soft and fabric-covered above me. I tried to take a deep breath, but the air was stale and thick, like cotton. The survival instinct, that ancient animal buried deep in the brain, screamed. I jerked and threw my arms upward. My fist struck the lid with a dull thud. The boards answered with a dense, flat sound, a sound without echo. I was in a box, underground. Panic was a luxury I could not afford. Panic burns oxygen, and there was only enough here for hours, maybe minutes. I forced myself to go still. I needed to assess the situation. I couldn't remember how I got here. The last memory was an evening run in the park, a prick in my neck, darkness, cheap thriller material. Except now it was my reality. Something hard pressed into my thigh, my phone. They hadn't taken my phone. That was hope. With difficulty, I bent my arm and pulled the phone out. I pressed the power button. The screen flared. No signal. Of course. 6 feet of soil makes excellent insulation. Battery, 1%. A red line, thin as a hair. My life measured in milliampere hours. I turned the screen off and listened. At first, there was only silence. The crushing silence of a grave. I could hear my own heart. Then I heard it. A quiet, rhythmic, wet sound from the left. Crunch, pause, crunch. I turned the screen on again, dimmed it with my palm, and pressed my ear to the wall. Crunch, scrape, not mice. This was the sound of countless tiny jaws chewing into cheap pine. They sensed warmth. They sensed organic matter, 1%. The air was thinning. My thoughts grew sluggish. I unlocked the phone. There were no icons, only one app, a black square. I tapped it. The screen went black. White text appeared. Cycle 4 status. Critical biometrics, extreme stress. Below it was a button. Confirm awareness. The sound intensified. Crunch, crunch. And then I remembered. The clinic, the contract, the experiment. This wasn't a kidnapping. It was therapy. The phone blinked. 1%. The insects were right next to my ear. I felt the vibration in the wood. This was a test. Not of strength, but of clarity under absolute despair. I forced myself to breathe slowly. I stopped fighting the coffin. I accepted it. I raised my finger to the button. The wood cracked. Dirt spilled through the gap. Something cold and wet brushed my cheek. I pressed the button. The phone went dark. I was left in total darkness, with soil falling onto my face and the sound of hundreds of tiny jaws. A minute passed, then another. My lungs burned. Then I heard a different sound. From above, thud, thud, a shovel. Someone was digging, fast, professional. The pressure eased. A mechanism whirred. The lid was torn away. Blinding surgical lights, fresh air. Strong hands pulled me out. I lay on a metal gurney, gasping. People in white coats surrounded me. The doctor with cold eyes stepped closer. Cycle 4 complete. Patient confirmed awareness. Neural activity stable. Disease regression halted. He looked at me. Welcome back to the world of the living. You passed. I looked at the box. It wasn't a coffin. It was a high-tech capsule designed to mimic wood. A hole gaped in the side, filled with peat and specially bred insects. I had been in hell. I got out, and I was cured. For the first time in that endless hour, I simply allowed myself to breathe.